Have you ever found yourself lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, just dreading that inevitable feeling? That sudden, urgent signal from your bladder that means yet another trip down the cold hallway, shattering any hope of a peaceful, deep night's sleep? We all know that feeling. It's a frustrating, exhausting cycle. Many of us, in an effort to be smart, avoid water before bed. It seems like simple logic. But what if I told you that this one, seemingly harmless habit could actually be the very thing turning your bladder into a ticking time bomb of inflammation? You see, when you do that, your urine becomes highly concentrated, and it irritates the delicate lining of your bladder. In fact, shocking new research is showing that this chronic nighttime dehydration can increase the risk of urinary tract infections in older adults by up to 60%, leading to a vicious cycle of irritation and even more sleepless nights. But here's something that might truly shock you. As a physician who has dedicated my life to helping folks navigate their golden years, I can tell you that for so many people, the answer isn't waiting in a prescription bottle. It's likely sitting in your kitchen spice rack right now. I'm not talking about theory. Let me tell you about Margaret, a wonderful 68-year-old grandmother from Dayton, Ohio. She used to plan her entire life around the nearest restroom. Long car rides were a nightmare, and she hadn't slept through the night in over a decade. Her doctors tried everything. Then, I suggested she try something incredibly simple. A single, common spice. 2 weeks later, she called me, her voice cracking with pure emotion. For the first time in years, she had slept for 7 straight hours. She told me, "Doctor, I feel like I've gotten my life back." Margaret's story is not a miracle. It's a result of understanding how our bodies change with age. In this video, we're not just going to reveal that one powerful spice. We will break down the 3 hidden nighttime habits that are secretly sabotaging your bladder and your sleep, and I will give you a simple, step-by-step plan to finally reclaim your restful nights. Everything we discuss today is based on decades of clinical observation and supported by emerging scientific research. And please, make sure you watch until the very end. The third secret I'll share is something most people, and even some doctors, completely overlook. Understanding it isn't just about sleeping better. It could be crucial for protecting your long-term kidney health. Before we dive in, I truly want to know how many of you have faced this. If what I just shared feels familiar, please take a moment and comment a simple yes below. It shows me you understand, and it shows others in our community that they are not alone. Okay, let's get started. Alright, my friends, let's get right to the heart of it. We're going to walk through the 3 hidden nighttime habits that are secretly waging a war on your bladder and your sleep. And we'll start with the most common, most logical, and yet most damaging mistake of all. Habit number 1. The dehydration trap, believing no water, no problem. The first and most common mistake I see in my practice is this. People deliberately dehydrate themselves after dinner. It makes perfect sense on the surface, doesn't it? The thinking is simple. If there's no water going in, there will be no need to get up in the middle of the night. So many of my patients have told me with confidence, "Doc, I make sure to stop drinking anything after 6 p.m. They believe they've found the solution. But in my experience, this is completely backward. It's an innocent mistake that actually pours gasoline on the fire. Let me explain what's happening inside your body. When you don't drink enough water throughout the evening, your urine becomes highly concentrated. I want you to think of it like liquid sandpaper. It becomes darker, more acidic, and it's full of waste products that your kidneys have filtered out. Now, imagine that abrasive liquid sitting in your bladder for hours overnight. The lining of your bladder is incredibly delicate, a soft and sensitive tissue. This concentrated urine irritates that lining, scratching and agitating it, making it feel, well, twitchy. It sends these frantic, urgent, go now signals to your brain, even when your bladder is far from full. Your bladder isn't screaming because it's at capacity. It's screaming because it's being irritated. Now, here is the core reason why this becomes so much more of a problem as we get older. It's a cruel trick of aging, really. As we move past 60, our kidneys are not quite as efficient at concentrating urine as they were in our youth. At the same time, our body's ability to signal thirst, that built-in alarm system, starts to quiet down. This means we are far more prone to becoming dehydrated without even feeling the slightest bit thirsty. So you might feel perfectly fine, but inside, That liquid sandpaper effect is happening night after night, creating a state of chronic irritation. Does that feeling of sudden, uncontrollable urgency sound familiar to you? That jolt from a deep sleep where you feel you have to run, not walk, to the bathroom? Or maybe it's the frustration of having to go again just a few minutes after you've already finished, feeling like you never quite empty the tank. That is often the classic sign of an irritated bladder, not a full one. You're fighting irritation, not volume. This isn't just my observation. The science backs it up completely. Urological studies from respected institutions consistently show that low fluid intake and the resulting concentrated urine are primary triggers for the symptoms of overactive bladder, or OAB. I had a patient, Robert, a wonderful 72-year-old retired firefighter from just outside Chicago. A man of action, a problem solver. He swore off all liquids after 5 p.m. sharp. He thought he had outsmarted the problem. But his nights were terrible. He told me he was up 3, sometimes 4 times, feeling exhausted and defeated every morning. He was absolutely shocked when I explained that his solution was actually the root of his problem. He looked at me and said, "Doc, all these years, I thought I was doing the right thing." We had to completely retrain his thinking. So, here is the simple, practical fix. This is what I told Robert. I want you to stop fearing water in the evening. Instead, I want you to embrace one final glass. The key is timing. Drink one single 8-ounce glass of plain water about 1 to 2 hours before your bedtime. This is the sweet spot. It's enough to dilute your urine, turning it from sandpaper into a soothing balm for your bladder lining. And the timing gives you a high chance of being able to fully empty your bladder one last time right before you turn out the lights. Think of it as an act of kindness to your body. So tonight, make a change. Embrace that one final glass. If you've been caught in this dehydration trap before, if this sounds like you, take a moment right now and comment with the word hydrate below. It's a small way to make a commitment to yourself and to let others know they aren't struggling with this alone. Habit number 2. The healthy snack that's a hidden irritant. Now for the second mistake, and this one often comes from a very good place. It comes from trying to do something healthy for your body. It's the habit of reaching for a light, healthy, late-night snack before bed. But the heartbreaking truth is that many of these seemingly innocent foods are secret bladder irritants, acting like a hidden enemy in the night. I'm talking about things that we are told are good for us. A juicy orange, full of vitamin C. A few slices of fresh tomato on a cracker. Or maybe, for a little treat, a small square of dark chocolate, which we hear is good for the heart. In the broad light of day, these foods are indeed healthy. But for a sensitive, aging bladder late at night, they can be trouble. The reason is that these foods are either highly acidic, like citrus fruits and tomatoes, or they contain hidden stimulants like caffeine, which is found in chocolate. For a bladder that is already a bit sensitive, these compounds act like a stimulant. They tell the bladder muscles to spasm and contract, creating that feeling of urgency out of nowhere. And here's the crucial why that relates to aging. Over the decades, the protective mucus lining of our bladder, known as the GAG layer, can begin to thin. Think of it like the protective enamel on your teeth wearing down over time. This makes the bladder wall underneath much more sensitive and vulnerable to dietary triggers than it was when we were in our 30s or 40s. A slice of tomato that wouldn't have bothered you at all back then can now be just enough of an irritant to trigger that gotta go feeling at 2 in the morning. It's not that the food has changed, it's that our body's defense system has. If you sometimes experience those sharp, sudden urges, or even a slight burning sensation that you know isn't a urinary tract infection, your evening diet could very well be the culprit. It can feel like your bladder is just angry, for no apparent reason. And again, the medical community recognizes this. The National Association for Continence, a leading authority, lists acidic foods, caffeine, and chocolate as top dietary triggers for bladder irritation. The stories I could tell you. I remember a lovely patient, Susan, a retired schoolteacher. She was doing everything else right. She was a walker, she drank her water, but her nights were still so restless. We went over her daily routine with a fine-tooth comb. It turned out to be the 2 small squares of healthy 85% dark chocolate she enjoyed every single evening while watching television. It was her little ritual. We swapped it out, And the change was remarkable. Within a week, she told me she was sleeping for longer stretches than she had in years. It was a revelation for her. So here is the simple, powerful solution. It's a do this, not that approach. Instead of citrus fruits, tomatoes, or chocolate in the hours before bed, I want you to try a small handful of almonds. Or a few slices of a banana, which is rich in potassium and magnesium. A pear is another wonderful choice, as it's a low-acid fruit. These provide a gentle, calming snack that won't irritate your system. Look at your plate tonight. Look at what you're snacking on after dinner. Make a conscious choice to give your bladder a rest. This can be a real surprise for people. If you never knew that these healthy foods could be a problem, do me a favor and comment while below. It truly helps me understand what information is the most surprising and useful for you. Habit number 3. Ignoring the body's silent fire, chronic inflammation. And now, my friends, we arrive at the third and most important piece of this puzzle. The one I promised you at the beginning. This one is different. It's not about what you are actively doing wrong, like avoiding water or eating the wrong snack. It's about an invisible, silent process that might be happening deep inside your body as we speak. I'm talking about low-grade, chronic inflammation. I want you to think of inflammation as a tiny, smoldering fire inside your body. It's not the acute inflammation you get with an injury, which is red and hot and painful. No, this is a slow, quiet burn that can go on for years. This silent fire is now being linked by science to so many of the challenges of aging. Aching joints, brain fog, heart issues, and yes, absolutely, an overactive and irritable bladder. When your entire body is in this constant, low-level state of high alert, every single organ is affected. Your nervous system is on edge. And your bladder, being a sensitive organ, becomes hyperreactive. It starts reacting to the smallest triggers, a tiny bit of concentrated urine, a slight change in position, and sending you running to the bathroom when it's not necessary. The core reason this is tied so deeply to aging is that, in many ways, the aging process itself is an inflammatory process. As the years go by, our body's amazing ability to put out these internal fires begins to diminish. Our antioxidant systems become less robust. This is the root cause. This is the master switch that makes the other two mistakes we discussed so much worse. The inflammation is what makes the bladder lining so vulnerable to the sandpaper effect of dehydration. It's what makes it so hypersensitive to that little piece of chocolate. This is why, sometimes, even when you feel like you're doing everything right, your bladder still feels unpredictable and out of your control. You're not just fighting a full bladder in that moment. You are fighting years of silent, internal irritation. The scientific evidence for this is now becoming undeniable. Emerging research is drawing a direct line, linking high inflammatory markers in the blood, things like C-reactive protein, with the severity of overactive bladder symptoms. This brings me right back to my patient, Margaret from Ohio, the wonderful grandmother I told you about in the beginning. We had managed her hydration perfectly. We had adjusted her diet to remove all the irritants. And things got better, but she still wasn't getting that full night of sleep she dreamed of. She was still missing that final piece. She needed something to address this root cause, this internal fire. And that is when I introduced her to the simple, powerful spice from her kitchen cabinet. The spice is clove. Yes, simple, whole clove. Cloves contain an incredibly powerful natural compound called eugenol. In the world of natural medicine, eugenol is considered one of the most potent anti-inflammatories ever discovered. It helps to gently calm that internal fire. Here is the exact, simple method I gave to Margaret. About 30 to 60 minutes before she went to bed, I had her take one single whole clove. Not ground clove powder, but the whole clove bud. I told her, don't grind it. Just place it in your mouth and chew on it gently for a minute or two. Let its natural oils release. Then, simply swallow it with a small sip of water. Think of this simple action as sending a tiny, natural calming agent directly into your system. It's a message to your body to dial down the inflammation, to soothe that internal fire, including the one that's making your bladder lining so sensitive, right before you go to sleep. Now, a very important note. Clove is powerful. This isn't a magic pill that will cure everything overnight. It is, however, a powerful natural aid to support your body's health. For most people, one whole clove a day is all you need. And as with anything new you introduce to your routine, it's always wise to be safe. If you are on any medication, especially blood thinners like warfarin, or if you have a particularly sensitive stomach, it is always best to check with your own doctor first. But for the vast majority of people, it is a safe, inexpensive, and incredibly effective tool to help reclaim their nights. If you are ready to try this simple, natural approach to help calm your system, I invite you to comment with the word clove below. It's a way to make that commitment to your own well-being. And so, as we come to the end of our time together, I want us to go back to the beginning for a moment. Back to Margaret, the wonderful grandmother from Ohio who planned her life around the nearest restroom. Today, Margaret is thriving. And I mean truly thriving. She's not just sleeping through the night anymore. She's taking long road trips to see her grandkids in the next state without a single thought or worry. She sent me a postcard just last month. A picture of her smiling by a lake. She took back control of her life. Not with some complicated, expensive regimen, but by simply understanding her own body and by using a tiny, humble gift from nature that costs just pennies a day. Her story, my friends, holds the core lesson for all of us today. You have so much more power over your health and your aging journey than you have ever been led to believe. The solution to feeling better is often not about adding more pills, more rules, or more complexity. It's about understanding more. Understanding these simple truths about how our bodies work, and then making small, gentle changes that have a profound impact over time. As we wrap up, we've explored 3 critical habits that can truly transform your nights and, in turn, your days. But as I always say, knowledge is only powerful when we put it into action. So now, I have one important question for you. What is the one commitment you are making to yourself this week after watching this video? It doesn't have to be a giant leap. It can be a small, single step. Maybe your commitment is, I will drink that final glass of water before bed. Or perhaps it's, I will swap my evening chocolate for a handful of almonds. Or maybe, you're going to find that jar of cloves in your pantry tonight. Please, share your personal commitment in the comments below. Reading your promises does more than, you know. It creates a beautiful wave of inspiration and accountability for this entire community. It helps us all take that first, crucial step together. And if you found real value and a sense of hope in our time together today, you can show your support by giving this video a simple like. To ensure you continue on this journey with us, and never miss another video full of this kind of practical wisdom, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button. It's more than just subscribing. It's joining a wonderful community of friends, all dedicated to living our best, healthiest lives together. Finally, I want you to think of just one person in your life. One friend, one sibling, one loved one who you know is struggling in silence with restless nights. Please, share this video with them. You never know whose life you might change with a simple act of kindness. Thank you for being here with me today. Be well, stay wise, and I'll see you in the next video.